Welcome to episode 171. And today I'm joined by Nathan Baws. Nathan has built a business across a wide range of industries and is passionate about helping business owners grow without simply throwing more money at marketing. And what I enjoyed about this conversation is that while we started talking about business growth and lead generation, we quickly found ourselves discussing customer service, workplace culture, leadership, and why the experience your employees have often becomes the experience your customers have. So whether you're looking for practical ways to grow your business, create better customer experiences, or simply think differently about where growth comes from, I hope you get plenty of ideas from this conversation. So let's get to it. Welcome, Nathan.
Thanks, Karen. Lovely to be here.
Thank you. And do you mind just giving us the quick elevator pitch to introduce yourself today?
Sure. Nathan Baws, involved in business, in lots of different businesses over the years, about 19 different ones. Been on Shark Tank, we do a lot of private or public speaking for groups and organisations. Schools love training up little people, little entrepreneurs, our future generation, and getting them excited about business. And I guess my main focus, I've been in lots of different businesses, but it's all around business growth and how we can grow businesses quickly, organically, without money, and lead generation. So that's kind of what I focus on 80 or 90% of my day.
Sounds like utopia, building a business without spending money. So we'll get into that because one of the things that you often talk about is joint ventures. So rather than just simply spending more money on marketing, which we can all do, it feels like an endless bucket sometimes. So what exactly is a joint venture, and why are so few businesses using that effectively?
Good question. I do not understand, because why don't people use joint ventures? They are so incredibly powerful, and they're organic, they're free. It's just a bit of creative thinking that you need to do. And when I got into joint ventures originally years ago, I just realized it had so much potential, so much power behind it. And one of the things that I was never good at doing was bringing people to a business. So I thought, well, why don't we find where those people, that hungry herd of people already are, and go out to them instead and offer something amazing, create a phenomenal offer. And that's one of the most important parts of creating a very powerful joint venture, is a very, very exciting offer. And that's very easy to say yes to, very hard to say no to. So it was all about, well, where is this hungry herd of people hanging out already? Why don't we just go to them instead of trying to pull those customers towards us? Why don't we just go find them and then offer them something amazing? So that's where a joint venture comes in, and it's just a creation of it's a three-way win is how I describe it. So there's got to be that you as a business win, your business partner, whoever you're collaborating or joint venturing with, has an amazing win, and their customer base also has an amazing win. So if everyone wins, then everyone's really motivated to make a success of the package. And that's what joint ventures is. It's just collaborating with another partner to bring their existing customer database an amazing offer that everyone benefits from.
Yeah, and as you're talking, it's making me think about, I get a lot of LinkedIn requests, as I'm sure a lot of people do, saying, hey, I want to partner with you. But really what they want to do is just try and sell me their stuff to sell to our clients. So, from my perspective, a lot of people don't necessarily go into that kind of process in perhaps the right ways. So maybe can you give us an example of a simple joint venture that, any small business could create?
Yeah, and the outreach is so super important, as you've highlighted there, Karen, because everyone just wants to sell you stuff. So the benefit for you has to be massive. Like, otherwise, it's just me trying to sell you something for your customers. So everyone's got to win out of it. That's the rule number one. Joint ventures, they can come in so many different shapes and sizes. I'll give you an example, like McDonald's often does joint ventures with movie companies. So they'll do a new. I remember when Shrek came out many years ago, and they've done heaps of different ones with Star Wars and all sorts of things. But you could go into McDonald's and you could buy a meal and you'd get these little Shrek figures, or Star Wars figures or whatever. Now, those get kids excited because they get a meal, and so the end user is really, really pumped because they're getting a meal and all these little cool little figurines. Now, the McDonald's is excited because they're leveraging something that's really well known, i.e. this movie, and people are coming in off the back of that to buy the McDonald's products. And of course, the movie theaters and movie makers are all really excited because McDonald's is a good chain. It's got good distribution. They can get their products in front of people all around the world. So it's a fantastic joint venture pitch. So that's one example. I'll give you another example. When one of the businesses I run in Perth is Tommy Sugo, and we're on Shark Tank for that. And we do pasta, and we manufacture Italian food. So we'll joint venture with schools. Now, it could be, because we do home delivery, we reach out to the schools and we say, hey guys, do you want to help? Can we help you raise some funds? Now, that could just be seen as us trying to sell them something, which in essence it is, but we want to make that so super exciting for them that it's very easy for them to say yes, very hard to say no. So what we say is, we'll give you commission, but we do everything. Like, we set up, we take the payments, we do the marketing for you. You can use all our, we'll create social media content for you that you can just share. We know you're super busy. We know you're parents of kids, and we know that you want to help raise funds, but we know you're juggling 10,000 things. So we have made the process so ridiculously easy for you that you just slot it in, you share the link, that's all you have to do. We take care of absolutely everything else. So people get very excited, understanding the pain points that they have when you're joint venturing with someone is so important to understand how you can get it across the line. And addressing those pain points and having a great solution is a really, really awesome way of convincing people, because they're just like, oh, yes, yeah, And I always say, the better we can explain the problem and spend a big portion of your time explaining the problem and explaining, we get that you love, you want to support your school. We get that you understand, we understand that you're also working full time and you're also a parent full time, and you've got all these conflicting things going on in your life, and life is crazy. So what we've done, so we understand, we demonstrate that we understand that problem so effectively that they automatically know that we're going to bring a great solution because they resonate with that understanding that we have. So
you're really asking them for very little, aren't you? Like, you're doing everything, and you're just saying, just give us your customer base essentially to be able to do this with.
Correct.
So,
yeah. So we'll make you money. We'll do all the hard work. You just have to literally share a link, and that's it, because we've done everything else for you. So yeah, that's another example of a joint venture. Another one is when we run a bookkeeping business, and it's related to business growth. So we do bookkeeping and business growth. And only because I built that business because I never had bookkeepers and accountants who actually got involved in growing your business, and I always thought they should, because it was just an obvious choice. So now when we offer bookkeeping, we offer business growth and coaching, because every business owner wants to grow their business, period. Like, otherwise, what are you doing in business? So we now partner with accounting firms, and we say, hey, we'll do the back end bookkeeping, but you can offer this amazing business growth service where we can coach your customers free of charge. And so that automatically positions them as a completely different accounting firm that actually cares about their customer growth, and so we do the back end bookkeeping and also provide the service that no one else does. So the accounting firm looks amazing because they're now providing this free of charge. The client loves it because they're getting all this additional love and care that they never got before, and we get exposure to new clients. So if you've got a business and you're looking for a joint venture structure, create an amazing offer, and then go out to search for another business that potentially isn't even in the same category, but has your end user in their database. So you can then bring an amazing offer that's not competing, and you're not going to be competing against your joint venture partner. You're enhancing what they do, and you're further enhancing the offer. So I think it's just an absolutely phenomenal way of growing everyone's business very, very quickly.
And we
Yeah.
mentioned before just around, how you're helping customers, and I know that customer service is also something that you're passionate about.
Mm.
So how much business growth do you think comes from keeping existing customers happy rather than constantly finding new ones?
Yeah. Although the exciting bit for me is new lead generation, the reality is keeping those customers happy with great customer service is way more economical than finding new leads. The lead generation process can be expensive, although I love to do organic and free wherever possible. But the reality is keeping a customer happy is so much easier than trying to bring in a new customer. And I was just briefly sharing with you an experience that I had. I'm a massive advocate of good customer service. And I had an experience a couple of weeks ago where I was actually thrown off a flight for bringing the airline's attention to the fact that they weren't looking after their customers. And there was absolutely no aggression, there was no swearing, there's no anything, but some 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 businesses don't want to hear when they're not doing things to customer benefit. I was walking into the flight, and in the middle of the aisle there was an elderly lady, and she was asked one of the airline hostess for help to put her bag in the overhead locker. And this is a great example of what not to do with customer service. Now, this airline has policies in place. Policies is one thing, but people is another completely different thing. And how you execute on or deliver a policy makes or breaks a business. So this lady said, "Can you give me a hand with putting my baggage in?" And the lady immediately snapped and said, "No, we don't get involved in customer luggage." And I just couldn't believe it. Being a massive advocate of customer service, I jumped up, I grabbed her bag, I put it in the overhead locker, and I turned to the airline hostess. I probably shouldn't have said this, but I said, "This is another example of what not to do in customer service." And she got really upset, and I got thrown off the plane, literally for that. And there was
Wow.
yeah, so because I voiced it in front of other customers, they didn't want to hear it. But the point is, I'll always stand by customer service. It is such an essential thing. It's a way of keeping your customer. We want to exceed expectations, and being very, very careful with delivering policies and procedures without that love and care factor can be so damaging for a business.
Yeah,
So
I guess
yeah,
from my perspective, I would assume that air host is probably not really happy in her job, probably isn't really loving the company. And so that comes through then in the way that you interact. Whereas if you had someone that was really highly engaged and loving the job, they go, yeah, okay, that's the
100%.
policy, but you know what, I'm going to help you because I love what I'm doing and I'm
So
having a
true.
great day. And even just like removing you from the flight, that just seems like incredibly heavy-handed.
It
So,
was it was put down as we were considered a risk, a safety risk. Okay, so the fact that we were helping prevent that safety risk of that poor lady, hurting herself, totally different. But you're absolutely right about if she's having a bad day, she's not enjoying them, and the culture of that
yeah.
whole airline was phenomenal. All these air hostesses came together and ganged up, and they're very, very aggressive very
Mm,
quickly. And it's funny, so we got thrown off that. My sister and I, she was just sitting in the seat and next to me, and we were asked to be removed. And then we went and booked a flight with Virgin. And my goodness, what a different culture. It was so phenomenal. And I didn't think there was much difference between airlines until you
mm,
have that experience. And, people in Virgin, we went up to the counter and they were joking and they were happy and they're laughing. And we went straight through, and it was just chalk and cheese. So knowing that the culture probably from the head down is so influential on the business, and it's
And
just.
now you're going to be flying Virgin Australia forever.
I am, and I'm telling everyone. I think there are,
Yeah.
obviously not mentioning the other company. I don't think that's right, but when you see someone excel and understand and notice the difference, man, I'm in love with these guys. They have exceeded my expectations, and I I think they're phenomenal. So yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that as you were talking, because I have been flying Virgin for years now. I can't remember when I changed or why I changed, but I did. And they're always super helpful with luggage.
Ah,
So
gorgeous, absolutely lovely people, and you can tell they enjoy their job, and the
yes.
culture is phenomenal. It
Mm,
must be,
yes.
and they've taken out all these other little things that upset the customers because they know their pain points, and they've
Mm,
obviously consciously made those decisions to make it a really enjoyable, pleasurable experience. And it's like,
mm.
wow,
That's
love
what we're
this.
all looking for with our businesses, right? It's like, how do we make those frictionless
Mm,
experiences for our clients? And, you said you've built, 19 businesses or been involved with 19 businesses across, different industries. So, what lessons do you see about growth that apply no matter what kind of business you're in? Sorry, it's a really broad question. Maybe maybe pick one or two.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think spending time on growth is what every business owner should be spending 80 or 90% of their day doing. And that's an area I absolutely love. And when you love something, you're passionate about it and you do it, and it's a pleasure to do it. So you can burn those hours very easily without realizing. So I think everyone, you know, no business fails if it has amazing sales, and lead generation is the first part of that concept, and there's really no problem you can't fix with more sales, as in, if you're profitable, you can really help any problem within the business. So I think the majority of time any business owner should spend should be on business growth and focusing on how can we increase our sales, which can be a bit challenging for some people because they'll often go into business as an operator, not as a sort of a business growth strategist. And it depends on the level, and you have to often get creative in how can you grow businesses, how can you dedicate that time if you're really in that operational mode and that's spending all your energy and time running the actual business rather than working on the business, then you've got to start getting creative in how can I questions where how can I spend more time on business growth and a little less time on the operational stuff, but still maintain the quality of all the operational side. So I
Yeah.
think that's a good tip for
Mm.
business
And
growth.
and for some people, they have a lot of discomfort in that though, because they've started the business because they're a cybersecurity expert or they're an
Hmm.
accountant or whatever. And so they want to stay within their lane, so to speak. And I've seen that happen where they've got a good product and good services, so the business starts growing, then all of a sudden, but they're still doing the delivery because they're not like-minded in that way. So have you seen that happen? And what's a
All the
good
time.
strategy you think if anyone's listening, going, yeah, that's me. I don't really want to do that. I want to do the actual stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the answer?
Just find people that love doing the stuff that you don't love. Whether it's a joint venture, which is absolutely a phenomenal way of doing it, or if it's employing team members. I mean, personally, I'm not a huge fan of bookkeeping, which I might have said this to you at the beginning, but I know the importance of it. And I know that, every time tax time came around, I used to really be uncomfortable because there was a lot of work ahead. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I love selling. I love growing businesses. I've got to find someone that loves the bookkeeping side. And there's always someone that loves the stuff that you hate doing. And why not collaborate with those people? So either bring them into the business and have them do that stuff that you don't love, because that's very energy destroying. When you're spending time doing something you absolutely hate, compared to when you're spending doing time doing something you absolutely love, you're going to grow like crazy if you can focus on that stuff that motivates you and floats your boat. And it's really going to draw your energy down and slow your pace down if you are spending time on stuff that you don't love. But the good news is there's always someone out there that loves the crap that you don't like doing. And that as they're as passionate, and it's just a question of finding them and surrounding yourself with teams of people that are passionate about doing the stuff that you're not passionate. And then can you imagine the strength of the business that you can create by all going forwards with what you absolutely love? Now, if you can't do that as a, if your funds are limited and you can't employ a full-time bookkeeper or whatever, think about joint ventures, because it can often be a strategy that you bring people together and you end up with more than you would individually. So it's a great opportunity for those sort of things.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned you don't like spending money on marketing and lead generation. So what's the strategy that you've seen that's quite common that business owners take to grow their businesses, but you just think, look, you're just wasting your money doing that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think you have to spend money. We've done a lot of guerrilla style marketing stunts over the years. They are time consuming, but they can be incredibly lucrative. They can also be a little bit embarrassing, and some people like to sit behind the scenes and not have that exposure to the front end. To give you an example, we did a little stunt quite a few years ago where we were in London. It was just during the financial crisis and the banks had stopped lending. And we had a property. We joint ventured with a lady who had a beautiful property in Kensington, couldn't sell it for love or money. So we did this little stunt where my sister and I, we had these big, ugly yellow boards. We hand wrote "Buy my flat." It was a payment plan and our phone number, a bunch of spelling mistakes and very ugly handwriting in there. And we walked across Tower Bridge, and it was a bit embarrassing. It was a bit uncomfortable. And we had buses pulling up in the middle of the street with the bus drivers hanging out saying, "What the hell are you doing?" and people with cameras, etc. So the end result of that was that we got into a bunch of newspapers. It went all around the world, and our phone rang off the hook. And within 48 hours, we'd sold the property and we lined up another 20. It was phenomenal. So we understood the power of knowing your numbers, as in we understood that if we walked across there was a bit of discomfort and a bit of embarrassment, whatever, but to us that was worth 40-odd thousand pounds to do that little stunt. So often knowing your numbers can be a great way of understanding if you're wanting to do a guerrilla sort of stunt, then it could potentially be worthwhile if you put that time into it.
Cool. Yeah. Now, if we don't all want to run across the Tower Bridge, what's one thing, if someone said to you, I really want to grow my business over the next 12 months, what's one thing they could do over the next week that will help them to get down that path?
The direct messaging is a great strategy that doesn't cost any money. Direct messaging, reaching out, as you mentioned before, you've got to be careful with it because it shouldn't just be a sales pitch. I want to sell your stuff. So a direct message that is human natured, as in not generic and really boring, because you probably get 10,000 of those messages every day, as does everyone else. People just wanting to sell your stuff. So an offer that's really, really well stacked is massive benefit driven for the end user, for whoever you're reaching out to, and that's totally different to anyone else's offer, would be really useful for getting engagement and booking appointments. First step would be potentially let's jump on a call. I've got this amazing offer. It's unlike anyone else's. This is what I can do. And then reaching out to people and doing lots of direct messaging.
Excellent. Now, the question I like to ask people at the end, because we're coming to time, what is one thing that you wish that you knew earlier about leading a team or running a business?
Leading a team, I think we focus on doing 3-minute calls with almost as many of my team members as I can on a daily basis. So connections or meetings or stand-up meetings. So connecting and being on the same page to me is really, really important with the team. and so that you're all working together on and going forwards together. Otherwise, it's very easy when there's not enough connection. It's very easy to end up accidentally going your own way. So that's something that I bring into the team on a daily basis.
Yeah, I love that because I think that people underestimate the value of stand-up meetings. And I even say to people, you don't have to physically do it at the same time. You can even just have like a thread set up in Teams or Slack or whatever and just have everyone type something in every day. But, it's just getting that connection is really important, especially now when so many people are working remotely or, not in the same space together. So look, thank you so much for joining me, Nathan. It's been a great conversation.
Thanks,
I feel like I've learned a lot about so many different things that I didn't realise that I would in such a short amount of time, especially the next flight that I'm taking, which is actually tomorrow. I'm going to watch out for...
Just don't complain. Whatever you do,
no,
don't complain.
I definitely won't be.
Yeah.
But I'm going to watch and just say, okay, how are things looking? Is the team looking pretty happy today? So, but thanks for joining. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Is it through the website or LinkedIn, or what's your preference?
Yeah, either or, website or LinkedIn. Yeah,
excellent.
Happy to connect. Yeah.
Okay, great. And we'll put those into the show notes as well. So thank you so much for joining me. For those who are listening, if you perceive value from this episode, I'd love it if you could leave a rating or a review over Apple Podcasts or Spotify so someone else can also find the episodes to help with their business. Episodes are released on Mondays, so click subscribe and you'll be notified of when that's available. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, head on over to amplifyhr.com.au or connect with me on LinkedIn and we can start a conversation.